got into a great group there. I had a customer here that did apples to Lyndhurst, New Jersey. We ran that every week together in tandem. It was great. And then we would hop over to Joplin, Missouri, where we picked up the program back to Portland. So the only thing that we had to fill in was New Jersey and Missouri. But those two were dedicated every week. We ran those.
This episode is brought to you by Talento. Talento is more than just nearshoring. Talento is a partner that helps logistics businesses scale smarter and more efficiently. Focused 100% on freight, supply chain, and logistics, they connect you with professionals who are ready to contribute. But that's just the beginning. Talento helps diagnose your company's challenges, optimize your processes, and implement technology solutions, whether through talent or through strategic partnerships. No more searching far and wide for talent or tools. Talento offers a comprehensive approach to improving operations and growing your team. Visit talento-io.com to learn how they're helping businesses transform and scale. Looking for a freight-specific CRM? Sales-CRM is built exclusively for freight brokers and freight agents. Manage shipper sales prospecting, track your carriers, and monitor the lanes they run, all in one powerful platform, and all for one extremely affordable price. Try Sales Dash free for 14 days with no credit card required. Visit sales-crm.com today. Operations teams, streamline your driver communications with vendor flow. Their platform organizes all of your driver communications in one place, boosting satisfaction with faster response times, and no more juggling between multiple apps. Get a free consultation today to see if vendor flow is right for you. Freight World, meet Purple Squirrel, the connector that links you with the top talent and winning opportunities. From inland transport to maritime freight forwarding, they deliver competitive commission splits and genuine support because they give a shit. Ready to earn more? Explore your options with Purple Squirrel. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to the Think Freight podcast, and thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Thomas Woodine, but you guys know me. And welcome to Andrey Yakimchuk. He's the founder and CEO of Hawk Logistics. How's it going?
Great. I'm nervous for this podcast, but I'm excited.
Dude, I'm so glad that you're coming to the show podcast here. You and I met at Manifest, honestly, I just kind of felt like you and I connected really well, kind of about your, being a first generation truck driver, trucker in general. And you have a really interesting story, which is why I wanted to have you on the podcast to kind of tell it, because stories are really important in this industry, and just kind of sharing how people go from kind of where you were to where you are today. And looking back, if you hadn't taken some of the steps that you did, you would be the founder and CEO of a trucking company today. So why don't you start by telling a little bit about kind of your story, how you originally got into the industry and found yourself starting a trucking
I was born in Belarus. We immigrated here in '91, right when the Soviet Union fell apart, and my parents wanted a better life for us. So we came here, and I felt like I had a lot of opportunities and things like that. And then I tried the school thing. Did not work out for me. I did after high school. I did a semester in college, and I'm like, man, I'm so miserable here.
What didn't you like about school? Was it just kind of like the structured style learning, or was it just like maybe some of the not being able to be independent?
Yeah, well, I think it was, being independent. that's probably why I
Yeah.
wanted to work for myself. It's just the idea of someone telling me what to do or not to do, unless it's coming from within me. Like
Yeah.
I struggled with that a lot, and I tried a few things. I tried selling cars for a little bit. That was a fun job, but
I did too.
um, and then I went and I did construction. We did. Flooring and things like that,
Nice.
which was fun. And 2008 hit, 2009, 2010, work got super slow and inconsistent, and I'm like, man, I need some stability and things like that. And I was looking around at the guys that were doing trucking, and I'm like, they have more stability than we do here in construction. Went out, got my license, and started trucking.
When
Started
did
trucking.
you when did you start trucking?
2011 is when I started. I got my license in 2010. Took me a few months, and then I got a job and started trucking in 2011, beginning of the year.
What
Went,
go ahead, sorry.
yeah, no, I was gonna say just uh, pulling a reefer trailer. That's where I started.
No, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. What kind of freight were you moving? Did you had any? Were you a company? Like what kind of company were you with? You don't have to say who it was, but what kind of company and what kind of routes were you running? Obviously reefer stuff, but like what was it a specific dedicated routes, or were you kind of all over the place?
Yeah, so this guy I started working for. We went to the same church together.
Oh, cool.
He used to live here in Vancouver. He's moved, and he had at that time, I think he was running like six trucks, five or six trucks. Can't remember for sure, but he had one open. Had a driver that had just left. He said, "I'll give you a shot. I know you don't have experience, but I'll give you a shot." I did 2 months in a team to learn, and then hopped in to his truck to run, and we ran from here to the East Coast and back. Uh, different types of freight, but apples is huge out of Washington, so that
Yeah.
was probably the biggest thing we ran out of here was apples, and then the other one, Oregon, the Pacific
Yep.
Northwest was nursery stock. We did
Yep.
a lot of nursery stock. That was both challenging and fun because it was fun though. I loved it. To get my exercise in. When I left working for him and went on my own, I took a bunch of nursery stock loads, the ones that were the driver assist
Oh
when I was
yeah.
driving. So I get out of the truck, I get out there into the trailer, and I'm moving those plants. It was fun.
What was your like most pick and drop locations doing nursery stock? I know you can kind of rack up a lot of drops doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I did Long Island a lot.
Oh
Maryland,
yeah.
Long Island, Pennsylvania. Those paid well.
Yeah.
Um, George Washington Bridge was expensive. I think the last time I went through there was $150. I don't know
Woo.
where it's at the moment. I think it's went up, but I remember it being 75, then went up to 150.
Yeah.
But they paid well. They paid well, all the extra stops and all
Yeah.
of that. Yeah, I remember I did a delivery all the way out in the Hamptons. I
Oh, that's
enjoyed that
cool.
one.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
got
that had to
there.
be really cool.
And there's the store was already closed. It was still light out, so I dropped the trailer there, bobtailed to the beach, hung out at the beach, and just checked out the town. It was great. I had a lot of fun driving. I enjoyed driving, just because I get to see, lots of places do all of that. And I'm an introvert, so
Yeah.
being alone to my thoughts and all that was good being
Yeah,
in that
you
truck.
yeah, it sounded like you really enjoyed it and you got to like enjoy, the kind of country a little bit and see different things as, you had kind of the time. Now, obviously, you kind of took it, you enjoyed it so much you decided to start your own company. So, what was kind of maybe the start of that, right? Like how long were you in a company truck? How long were you hauling with this company? Did you go work for any other companies before you decided to start your own company? What was that process like?
No, I only worked for that one company. We
Awesome.
yeah. I actually still own that truck. So the truck that I first drove, I drove for him for a year and a half,
Okay.
and I decided that I wanted to be an owner operator. So I started looking for to buy a truck. I came to him and said, "Hey, I want to be an owner operator. I want to buy my own truck, my own trailer. That's what I want to do." And I guess this is just the natural progression, right, of a truck driver
Yeah.
is become an owner operator. And told him that I was looking at a few trucks, and he was like, "Yeah, maybe buy mine if you want. Buy my truck, buy my trailer, and you can run under the MC. Pay me a dispatch fee, and we could do that." And he ended up doing that. I gave him a down payment, and then everything else I made payments on, and I ran a lot. The first trip I left, I remember it was like 32 days I was out on the road,
Wow.
nonstop. I just wanted to pay him everything I owned for the truck. I think it was about 40 grand for the whole combo. It wasn't new. The equipment wasn't new, but
Yeah.
it was in good condition. I knew it. I was familiar with it, and it took me 6 months, and I paid for the equipment, for the truck and the trailer. And as soon as I had it paid off, I I I started thinking about opening up my own authority. And when I started doing that, I called my brother, who is also my partner here in the business, Dennis. He was in California working at Jiffy Lube, changing that oil and washing windows and all that. And I told him, I said, "Hey, go get your license and let's come work together." And I can see this as as something that we can do together as a business. But we realistically had no money to fund it besides of what we could earn. I had a family, I had a wife, I had a daughter, uh, and but he was single at that time. Took me about, I don't know, 6 months to convince him. He was like, "I don't want to be a truck driver. That's not something I don't want to do. I don't want to be stuck in a cab for away from home and
Yep.
all these things." And he's an extrovert, right? So he wants to be around people all the time. And he finally caved in, and then went and got his license and came up, and we were running. So this is early 2013. February of 2013 is when the authority went live. He came. We were running team together in that truck. We ran team, and then we one day we were at a delivery, and I noticed that we're losing coolant. I figured out that where my head gasket was blown on that engine, and we're
Oh, wow.
losing coolant. But we were fortunate there because the coolant was the head gasket was blown to where it was leaking out the side,
Okay.
not into the truck. So
Right.
we poured coolant and kept on going, made it back to Vancouver, and parked the truck. And I needed to figure out if I was going to rebuild that engine or buy a new truck. And the quickest thing was to buy another truck. So I went to the local dealer here, Tech Equipment. I've since done a lot of business with them, but it was a 2006 Volvo that was like 35 grand. I had 10,000 cash I put down and financed the rest at, I can't remember exactly, but it was over 20% interest rate is what I got that financed at. My
Ooh,
credit wasn't that
that's
great,
tough.
but I could handle the payments. Payments were $1,700 for 18 months.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not bad, because I was only financing 25 grand, but I
Yeah.
figured I got nothing else to fall back on. So I'm going all in. I'm going to figure it out. And if this is my foot in the door to get you know business line of credit, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So I bought that, and then we kept running team as we're running team. We rebuilt the other engine, and I started running both of the trucks, him in one and me in the other. Got into a great groove there. We I had a customer here that did apples to Lyndhurst, New Jersey. We ran that every week together in tandem. It was great. It was fun. And then we would hop over to Joplin, Missouri, where we picked up a frozen load back to Portland. So the only thing that we had to fill in was the between New Jersey and Missouri. But those two were pretty much dedicated every week, and we ran those, paper logbooks and all that stuff. So we had a bunch of fun with that. Yeah, and then we just try to just put away as much cash as we could, and we started buying trucks at the end of 2016. But a couple trucks, started putting drivers in those trucks, and we were both running, looking for freight, and dispatching the drivers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, some stuff is maybe not the best to share, but just had the laptop there on the passenger seat, and you're running and scrolling through DAT or truck stop, and you're on your
Yep.
phone calling. Yeah,
Yeah, you know how many times I've heard that same story from guys. It's just like that's kind of the almost the natural progression of being an owner operator and having a team of, more than 4 or 5 guys. You just kind of have to, do what you have to do and maybe push the bounds a little bit and yeah, that's
yeah,
fun.
yeah. But we got it done. Dennis was a little better at that because he could multitask that better. I had to pull over to actually do something, but he had it figured out. And yeah, we had finding drivers is tough when you're starting out.
Yeah.
That was our biggest struggle was finding a good driver. I hired a guy who was older, early 60s. Vision was good, but not great. So he
Mm,
would shut down as soon as the sun was going down. So
yep.
he would only run when it was light out. And hey, what are you gonna do? We're gonna figure it out. If
Yep.
that's what we have to do, we're gonna figure it out. And you put up with a lot of stuff with some of these drivers when you're new. But just because we just set our minds to that, this is what we want to do, it didn't stop us. We kept on doing that. I stopped driving in 2017. About I think it was like June or July of 2017 it was when I stopped driving. I had drivers in all the trucks, and and we hired a few owner operators, and to where I can have enough work in the office to compensate for that.
Yeah.
And then Dennis was on the road rolling, and we decided that we were going to pay ourselves a small salary, and then everything else, that Dennis wasn't going to get a paycheck as a driver anymore, because that's what we were doing, as
Right.
because initially we weren't partners. It was split up, and he bought a truck to be an owner operator, running, and then but the goal was always to become partners. We just didn't
Yeah.
know how to do that, and then one day we just sat down and said, all right, right now it feels like it's the right time to just run as one. And yeah, we took a small salary, and everything we did went back into the business, reinvested it back into running freight. I mean,
So
and
that
running the company.
so so that was 2017ish, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so you guys 2017, you stopped driving. Dennis is still running. You guys have partnered. You've hired a couple of owner operators to kind of keep the flow going. You know, make sure you're not losing money, but after you coming out of the truck, and then you decide, okay, what's kind of maybe continue to grow, or what's kind of that next step after you step out of the truck, and you guys decide, okay, let's kind of grow this. What was kind of that next evolution? And how many trucks do you think you guys had at this time?
When I stopped driving, we had 7 trucks rolling.
So what was kind of that next step for you? What was kind of the thought process? Like how quickly did you want to maybe get to 10 or 15 trucks, and what was kind of that journey like?
Yeah, it was the it was a struggle in the beginning.
Yeah,
There are two things that were a struggle. One of those was insurance, and then the other one was financing, right? To buy the trucks, because we wanted to own the trucks, and we wanted to own the trailers. So
yeah,
after my first loan of 20 some percent, I was able to secure a loan for a trailer at zero down at 9%. I was
you were
ecstatic.
thrilled.
Yeah. So all that, the risk that I took there paid off,
Yeah,
and I was able to show that we can handle the paying on the loans and stuff. Insurance wise, when uh, we wanted to grow fairly quickly, but then at the same time we wanted to manage it. So we're running 7 trucks. I'm trying to add 5 trucks, and insurance. No way, you guys are crazy. You guys are growing too fast.
yep.
Uh, and so we started adding trucks. I can't remember the exact number that we added. 20, I think in like 2018 we added 3 or 4. 2019 we added 3 or 4, and in 2020 we were. When we walked into 2020, we had about 25 people that worked for us, either in a like an employee or a owner operator capacity,
That's
one way
awesome.
or another. Yeah. And then obviously the pandemic hit, and we thought that we wouldn't be able to survive that, because of we're still fairly new, all the challenges with that. Very very fortunate with the PPP loan.
Yeah,
That helped us a lot, because we were losing money on every run we took,
yeah,
but we were able to compensate the difference for the driver pay out of that PPP money.
that's
And
good.
we had drivers that really liked us, and which is probably why we're here. Not probably. I mean, there's me and Dennis, right, and our
Yeah,
drive to survive. Um, I guess that was a reference to Netflix and the F1 show. I just watched it. Yeah, but our drive to survive and to grow and to conquer and do all of that. But we were fortunate with the caliber of drivers that we had, and they stuck it out with us. And um, we cut pay on some just to keep going, and we just balanced all those things together, and we were able to get past that the hardest time there of 2020.
yeah.
Yeah, and our
Now
biggest
that
growth was in 22 and 23 is where our biggest growth happened. 21 we had some growth, but not as much as we did in 23. So
what kind
even the
of what kind of growth did you guys have during that period?
so we're at 70 trucks, running 70 trucks, about 90 trailers, And um, in 2020, I think we added a couple trucks that year at the end of the year because things got a lot better. Money started coming in. With that, 21 was difficult because there was no inventory. It was
Yeah.
very hard to buy trucks, and we added about 6 trucks in 21. And so we're somewhere around like 35 ish in 22, and then we've added all the other ones since then.
No, that's awesome. So you guys are what, around like 75-ish trucks now, I believe.
Yeah, just under that, and yeah, and about 90 trailers. Still reefer drive-in split about 60% reefer, 40% drive-in, and we're running. Apples is still a huge thing for us. I love doing apples. We have a customer that we've done. I've ran apples with since I was driving and Dennis was driving, and
That's
they're
awesome.
we've grown with them. They've given us the freight. We've kind of narrowed down our lane. We run here the Pacific Northwest, so we're based in Vancouver, Washington.
Yep.
Most people assume that it's across the border from Canada. We're not. We're across the border from Portland, Oregon, just across
Yep.
the river here. And yeah, we run the Pacific Northwest to Dallas, Texas, and then back up to the Pacific Northwest is the lane that we do. Um, have um, have a solid team, great team, drivers as well. We don't advertise for drivers. I have more drivers than I have trucks. I slip seat some of the trucks, and they run a lot of miles, and we make it happen for them. They make it happen for us. It's I one of the things that I when I was trying to hire drivers and put this culture with the drivers was I wanted the stress levels to come down, and
Yeah.
because that's what I had to deal with when I was driving. And I abused some of the things that were available for us when I was driving, especially with the paper logs and all those things. Running hard. There's the strong solo Sergey, but then there's me. But it plays a toll on your health
No,
a
for
lot.
sure.
And I wasn't happy. I was with my health with that I and when I wanted drivers to be happy. I wanted to figure out a lane where we can have some miles, good miles, but then at the same time be able to get some home time. And we've accomplished that here, and the drivers are able to have home time and be on the road and all of that. The I was waiting for the day for ELDs to kick in to go live. I
Yeah.
know that that was an unpopular opinion back in 2019,
Yeah,
but
I loved it.
I loved it. I wanted that discipline, and not just for us. I wanted that discipline for the drivers,
Yeah.
and it the drivers are a lot more happier. The drivers are a lot more healthier. I love it. It's we the industry the way it's going at the moment from where it was 10 years ago or even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's moving in a direction. We're not going to recognize it in the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to look different than what it is.
No, I mean
But
when I got in the industry about 8 years ago, I mean it's a completely different industry than it was then. I mean, I started off at TQL, and when the ELDs went into effect, I was thrilled, and I'll tell you why, Andre, and obviously everyone listening, is because I had a bunch of customers. We were moving a bunch of stuff from the West Coast, mostly Pacific Northwest, a lot of apples and pears going from like the Yakima area, and a lot of stuff loading in Kawachi, Teton, Selah, like all those areas. And then it
yeah,
was going down to like the border towns in Laredo and McAllen. But I also had a lot of stuff going to the East Coast, a lot of cherries going from a lot of stone fruit cherries going from California to the East Coast, and it threw everything into such chaos with rates. Like rates were like 7 grand going to the East Coast at the time, and then it threw them up to 10 grand, 11 grand, 12 grand. And it made me, as to my customers, almost invaluable, because trucks went. A lot of trucks were struggling with finding ELDs, or they didn't think the ELDs were going to actually go into effect, or the government would push them again. And when they actually did go into effect, it cut capacity, and at least for a couple of months. And yeah, I think a lot of brokers were able, especially if you had capacity, you took really well advantage of the market. And I mean, I paid my carriers really well. I mean, they were making really good money, but I could also sell it to my customers. Hey, I've got a truck for 11 grand or 13 grand, and pay the truck exactly what they wanted, 11 grand, and it was all money. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of fun during those times. I was on the same page as you. I was looking for it, but obviously for a different reason. I didn't understand kind of the driver aspect of it and all that. I was just, hey, let's get a team to the East Coast. What do you need? And that was what it was all about. But yeah, I was on the same page. I was wanting to get ELDs into effect because it threw everything into chaos, and I knew everyone could make a lot more money.
Yeah, we did. We did. It was
It
a
was a good
great
time.
few months. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember it was yeah. Yeah, so got to take advantage of those times, because we've been in this other one for way too long.
Exactly. These hot and cold cycles, the hot cycles don't last nearly as long as those cold cycles do. You have to take it. You have to take advantage of it when those come about, man. And I was still pretty brand new to like freight brokering and stuff, but like my mentors and stuff were like, hey, this is the time where you really can make money and make advances with your customers. And that's exactly what I did, and was able to really secure a really solid book of business moving produce and things like that from the West Coast, and watermelons and stuff like that from Florida and all the watermelon regions. Because
Yeah,
that's what I really enjoyed. It was so much fun, and when you can kind of cement yourself like that, man, it's awesome. Now I want to ask you, because like obviously coming from that TQL world, what kind of freight are you guys mainly moving? Or is it broker freight, or you guys have a lot of direct shippers that you guys are also moving?
yeah, we're heavier on the broker freight.
Are you?
Yeah,
So what does maybe that mix look like, and what I guess what are kind of your strategies to maybe try to going forward, maybe have more of that like shipper dominated routing guide instead of broker dominated?
yeah. The mix is. I mean, the split is pretty wide.
Yeah,
We're about 10, maybe 15. I don't know the exact number of direct, and everything
yeah,
else is broker. So heavily reliant on the spot market. We uh, you know we realistically, we started most of our growth at kind of at the peak, right? I know
yeah,
I've been in the industry for quite some years, and we had some experience with a smaller fleet in a typical normal market, and
yeah,
it and you can do well with that. Even 25 trucks, build a lot of good relationships with brokers, and you can run a lot of freight like that. And as we walked into this crazy freight recession that we're in, we've struggled with securing the direct shippers, and we're heavily reliant on the spot market. Even though we have a lot of great relationships and a lot of repeat business with the brokers,
yeah,
but we're still reliant on the spot market, because as the spot market moves, everyone's rates move.
yep,
And we the challenges with that, I mean, the obvious typical challenges, but
yeah,
we obviously know that we can't survive and we can't grow in this kind of strategy. So the plan is to secure more direct shipper freight, and have more stability moving forward than we have in the last couple of years. Um, we're starting. I'm. We basically, the way we've worked till this day was I have a dispatch team
Yeah.
that consists of about 10 people. So Dennis is there. Dennis is the one that runs dispatch, and then he's got nine other guys that work for him, all young guys. Um, the the oldest one there is 35, but everyone else is um, 19, 20, 21,
Oh
22.
wow. Young
That's
guys.
young guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone is young, and everyone uh, without much freight experience at all, and they know what they know because we've taught them how to do it.
Yeah.
We coached them through those things, and they have a job that does both. They have to go out and sell, meaning they have
Mm.
to find the freight.
Yeah, yeah.
If it, and it's through previous relationships, through some cold calling, but mostly it's previous relationships and the load boards, global, DOT obviously, but it's
Yep.
all the other ones where all the individual broker load boards that are there, and
Oh, for
they're
sure.
scanning those. And as soon as you can get your foot in the door with those, and you do a great service for them, you will get repeat business. And then they're also the ones that have to dispatch the trucks and get them picked up and delivered and all of that. And we've this market, the freight market that it's been here for the last 30 months or whatever that number is, and kind of
Yeah.
lost count here, has stretched them a lot. They've learned a lot, and the growth that I've seen in them is crazy. Some of those guys were with us. So out of those nine, I have one, two, three that were with us in 21. So
Okay.
they know the highs of the market, and now they know the lows of the market. All the other guys, they came in afterwards, and and I believe that if once the market turns, these guys are going to take off, like, oh, because of all the pressure and all that's made them a lot stronger
Oh
in
yeah.
who they are. But where we are lacking is the sales side, and that's what I'm currently working on setting up. I have of one of the guys there, young guy, very very motivated.
Hmm.
His name is Ben. He wants to sell. He says, I want to try it. I came to us, and I want to go. I want to do it. Give me some tools, and let's get it set up. And I want to go out. I want to make phone calls.
That's
I
awesome.
Let's find some leads, and we'll do that. And yeah, he's starting. Already started. He's reaching out to some customers that we already have, because
Yeah.
I think that's the most effective way, is to reach out to the customers that we have, because we already have the rapport and the relationships built with these guys. And
Yep.
hey, what else can we help you guys with, and try to bring more business there. And I'm going to take him to TIA. My first year going to TIA,
Mine too.
and his first time for any conference, and so he can get out and shake some hands, and I just want to see how he does.
Hell yeah.
But I figured um, that I might have one too many guys in dispatch, and instead of downsizing there, I'll just move him in a different direction, and go all in. If it works, great. And I'm very optimistic about that. We've done a lot.
It's smart.
We've done a lot without knowing anything, because I haven't run a business in this caliber. I haven't run a business in a down economy. I haven't managed so many people, but I figure it out. So I think if the motivation's there, he'll figure it out as well.
That's exactly right, man. When the motivation's there, especially if he's coming to you and saying, "Hey, man, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to like maybe help the business grow." That's someone you really always want on your team, and you know that they're going to go out there and hunt for you. And excited to meet Ben at TIA. If you guys are at TIA, make sure you
Yeah,
say hey to Ben and Andre. I'll be there as well. But with the amount of guys you have and what they do, what percentage you may not know, but like what percentage of freight do you think comes from maybe some of those previous relationships as opposed to daily like load board freight? Because I know you guys have 70ish 75 trucks, so that's a lot of trucks to kind of cover on a day to day. Is some of those obviously is probably covered up by some customer freight, but what would you say how much time they're spending on the load boards on a day to day?
yeah,
So that's got to be tough.
yeah. It is tough. Yeah, and the fact that you have all these other load boards that you have to manage, not just one, right? Not like
Yep.
DAT. Because when I was dispatching, we didn't have so many. I remember ArcBest started having one. JB Hunt and
TQL, CH
Yeah,
Robinson. Everyone
yeah.
has their own
Right
proprietary boards now.
now, everyone has their own, and
Yeah.
they're all on all these different platforms. So I'll go in and I'll look at their tabs, and they have like 15 tabs
15.
open, and they're clicking through all the tabs.
Ah.
But percentage wise, about 75% is repeat business, and there's 25 that we have to fill in.
Yeah, the reason I asked it is I love to kind of get that perspective from the carrier side because when I was at TQL and when I was just a broker in general, a very large chunk of my freight never hit the load board. It went to carriers that I had built a previous relationship with. I would, Andre, if I had worked with you in the past, I would shot you an email if I was moving apples or had something coming out of, your neck of the woods. I would have shot you an email if I knew you were running stuff and said, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And every time I had it, I would have asked you above anyone else because
Yeah,
that relationship's there. So a lot of times you see a lot of carriers who don't have, especially newer carriers who maybe who don't have those relationships built, especially if you're on Facebook or Reddit, you can see a lot of guys complain, "Hey, like I can't find freight or the load boards are dead." And it all comes down to those relationships because a lot of times freight doesn't even make it to the load board.
yeah. I remember me and Dennis were first running into Dallas. We'll come in on a Monday, deliver, and we'd be there for 2 3 days trying to find this freight, and it's dry. There's
Yep.
nothing there. And I'm looking at some of these other guys that I know, and they're moving trucks. Like, where are you guys getting this freight? Right? And but slowly, somebody falls off a load, gets posted on the load board. You call him, you get introduced to that broker, and yeah, do a good job for them. They come back. They come back. They most people want to do business with carriers they trust. Most brokers do, right? And the same
Yep.
thing for us as well, right? We want to do business with brokers that we trust, and for many reasons. From I mean, recently the biggest issues is all the deductions on your rate when
Yep.
because you're not tracking or this or that, all these different things that get put into the rate confirmation, and you're getting underpaid on 20% of your loads. So you're and that's usually with brokers that you don't know, the
Yeah.
people that you don't haven't done business with. But when you're doing business with people that you can trust, and vice versa, they can trust you. They know you're going to pick up on time, you're going to deliver on time, and if something happens, you're not just going to sit there. You're going to either
Yep.
recover that trailer, or you're gonna do whatever it takes to get that delivered on time. If it's not on time, you're going to communicate well to where it's done right. I mean, with TQL, I think we were at somewhere around like 96% on time pickup
That's awesome.
delivery. I don't know where we're at the moment, but we not every broker will give us those KPIs, but from the
Yeah.
things that I remember. Yeah, we definitely pride ourselves to make that happen, and because we're able to do that, and we run the same lane all the time. So
Yeah.
when we have a breakdown, like I've had, bought 4 new Volvos, and out of those four, two of them engines went out.
Wow.
One of them was like 40,000 miles. The other one was 60,000 miles in Colorado.
Brand new.
And yeah, and so I'll send a truck from Dallas, bobtail it out to there. I know it's 900 miles, but we'll pick up that trailer and we'll make the delivery, and then we'll deal with the repair. And then we get those callbacks, we get those emails. We not just that, we get just rate cons sent over, and boom, 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 and they're in the email. Um, we still have a lot of customers that we've that the relationships that I started with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we try to teach the rest of them, is to build those relationships with the customer, right? If it's
Yeah.
the broker or whoever it is, their customer, right? Treat them well. Yeah, so we get 75, maybe even 80% in some cases, but 75 for sure. I'm very comfortable saying that number of repeat business that we get.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. That's the way you want it to be, because when you have to heavily rely on the load boards instead of relationships, it becomes a lot harder to cover, 75 trucks, or, maybe it's 30 in a day as opposed to, the all 75. But, it can be really tough. And, a lot of carriers, especially asset carriers, because you guys have really leaned into the company model, buying trucks and trailers instead of, adding a lot of owner ops. So a lot of asset-based carriers in your position, I feel, lean very heavily into either dry freight or reefer freight, but you guys have kind of mixed in both. Why did you decide to go that way, and how tough is that to balance operationally, especially if you guys were kind of always running the reefer side? How did the dry van side kind of come about, or the idea of it?
Um, Basically, it was reefer freight out of here was great. We, and drive-in freight out of Texas was
Yeah.
better, and it just kind of happened to where we started buying both, and we just make it work. When reefer, you know, December, January, we're still in the produce season out of here.
Yep.
Uh, more of the drive-ins are sitting at the yard, and the reefers are out on the road running. And
Yeah.
now it's it's a split, but it wasn't really a strategy. It's just something that we walked into, and we like it. It's
Love it.
good. Yeah.
And it makes a good mix too, right? Because you don't always have to stick to just run a reefer freight or just run a dry van freight. You can kind of have a little bit of that mix. If produce season's a little bit tailed off, maybe you can make a little bit more on some of the dry freight that you guys are seeing and things like that. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense to kind of have both. I
Yeah,
want to
exactly.
I want to
Most
switch
of
gear.
most shippers will ship dry in a reefer, just not all.
Yep.
So backhauling, we're mostly backhauling dry.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. And I noticed, and I want to bring this up. I noticed the Inc. 5000 on your wall. What when did you guys get that, and kind of how did that happen? And
Yeah.
and congratulations.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, we applied for it last year for the Inc. 5000 for the running, and yeah, we won this award last year. I think it was, man, I can't remember the number. It was 3,342, I think, is where we're ranked at. So we're super stoked that we're not at 4,999 or not 5,000.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, 146% growth in a 3-year span is what got us there. And
It's
it
amazing.
was, they looked at 23, 22, and 21 in those 3 years. That's how much growth we had. And we ended up securing that, which is awesome, right? It's a
Yeah,
recognition for that. I mean, there's obviously the challenges of growing a company in this kind of market, but yeah, that's exciting. We also got for 2025 where we got Inc. Regional for the Pacific region. So we'll have a ranked at
that's awesome.
102 in the region. So that's awesome.
That's
That's
huge. Congratulations.
we're excited about that. I got a couple more here. I got Global Trans here, carrier of the right there, carrier of the year, and then another year, same thing, Global Trans, another carrier of the year.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
yeah, we did. Global Trans was great. We did a lot of business with them, and we were able to grow because they kept giving us the freight, the backhaul out of Texas. We every week, and yeah, and so I'm excited about that. We we have um, on Carrier Source, right? I didn't
Yeah.
know that website existed a year ago.
Great
And
company.
huh?
Great company. Great way to like source reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah. So last year, I was going to the Broker Carrier Summit for the first time, and they reached out and said, "Hey, you're going to be here, and we see that you have some reviews on our website." And I'm like, "What is Carrier Source?" I go in there, we have like 9 reviews that I didn't know existed, all from brokers, right?
Yep.
Verified brokers, and all have um, well, I think we were like a 4.8, 4.9 stars with them on the rating, like all super high,
Yeah.
great feedback, and yeah, I'm super excited that our hard work is getting acknowledged, just not just by us, but also by other people. They can see that we're doing doing the work, and we're seeing great results. Yeah.
Andrew, you've mentioned to me, kind of through our a couple conversations we've had, is one of your biggest passions is helping people become better in their both professional life and kind of their personal life. How does that show up kind of inside of Hawk Logistics on a day to day basis?
Yeah, one of our statements, mission statements within the company is empowering people. I do want to do that. I don't know, just the love for people in
Yeah.
general. I want to see people around me be successful. I want to get excited about other people doing well, and I wanted to incorporate that into the culture here within the company, and that's why we hire a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
And there's challenges with that, right? Young, they need discipline. Uh, there's hiring a lot of Gen Z. I'm a
Yeah.
millennial. There's a difference there as well. So you're trying to understand them, trying to get them to understand you a little bit, and then we have all these drivers who are a lot older as well, and
Always. Yeah.
it's they want you to pick up the phone call. The dispatchers want to send a
Text.
message, and that's it. But yeah, one of the things that I do every week with dispatch, actually, after this, that's what I'm going to be doing. We have a hour and a half meeting where we work on development. We work
That's
on
awesome.
different things. Yeah, we last week's topic was trust and performance. We wanted to gauge. Simon Sinek has the
Yeah.
graph from the Navy SEALs.
Yep.
Where trust is in performance, and where you land. And we went around and we did a self assessment of each other and see where we are, and we're working on those things. So I'm trying to do something every week.
That's cool.
Besides, as they're working, Dennis is always working with them, trying to give them as many tools as they possibly can to have the ability to be as empowered and grow as much as they can. Right? I can't
Yeah.
can't do that for everyone, because the reality is that unless somebody makes that decision on their own,
Yep.
all my efforts are basically useless unless they want to do that. And yeah, I enjoy it. It gives me a drive, not just moving freight, but also seeing people grow.
No, that's fantastic. I think sometimes, a lot of times, you have to have kind of that drive outside of just kind of that business aspect too, and kind of wanting to see other people succeed is a great way to kind of have that motivator and that drive. Andre, we're kind of coming up on time, but I have a couple things that still are in the back of my mind. But you guys over the last 10 years have built or accomplished a lot and have built a pretty awesome company. Some founders want to keep it lean and tight. Others want to build a huge empire, 5,000 trucks. What's the next chapter for Hawk Logistics? What is kind of what are you guys focused on now in terms of kind of maybe growing the fleet or expanding into different markets, or what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I definitely want to grow the fleet. Me and Dennis want to. When we first started out, I was in the mindset of keeping it lean and just well, it came from it came from a market or in construction where everything kind of fell apart, and I didn't have stability. I wanted
Yeah,
stability, and this is where I saw that I could find stability. So I told them, hey, let's we'll run 30, 40 trucks. We can dispatch them, manage them. We can do well. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. If we're going to do this, let's see how big we can go. And and I thought about it and said, why not? We're young enough.
yeah,
Now, I turned 40 in September, so uh, time is running a little faster than I'd wanted to run because when I started
yeah.
trucking, I was 28 years old. A little no, it wasn't. I was 28 in 2013, so yeah, 26 is when I started
26.
trucking. Yeah, so I'm like, um, yeah, now's the time like no other to see where we can go. We have a mile marker at the moment at 250
Okay.
in trucks, and that's where we're going, and we'll see where we go from there. Other markets, 100%, and direct customers. That's where we're
Yeah.
gonna go to, and get those contracts in place and get those relationships going, and to be able to do that. Possibly drop trailer. We don't do much of that. We do a little bit, and that's the challenge is there. I want to be able to give the guys miles, but then give them the home time so that
Yeah.
we can balance that home and work time so that they're happy. So I don't have a complete answer, but that's just the direction where we're going.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. Now, looking back, to 2013, so 12-ish years ago when you bought your first truck, what's maybe one thing you'd wish you had known, or something if you could go back in time and maybe tell yourself now, what would you go back and say, or one thing that you wish you had known back then?
Uh, well, I would tell myself to take more risk
Yeah.
uh, earlier, and not. I think I waited a little too long to get out of the truck, and if I should have done that earlier, and if I would have done that, then I would be able to. I think that we would be better equipped for what we had to go through in the last 30 months.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And the other thing is, what I would tell myself is that, oh man, um, I think I'd tell myself a lot. I just, uh, um, uh, yeah, I don't know. The thing, I guess that one's hard. You know why it's hard? Because
Absolutely.
I had a conversation recently with a friend of mine, and he asked me a question. He said, What do you regret?"
Mm.
And I thought about that, and I said, I don't know. I don't have anything that comes to mind that I regret, because I made certain decisions that I did because I thought that they were the best decision to make in that time. And
Yeah.
then if it didn't work out, I took the responsibility for that and then pivoted and kept on going. But one thing that does come to mind, I wish I knew a little earlier, was be better versed in finances and be able to understand the books better. If I did that earlier, I think that would have been the biggest help to do
Yeah.
so. Yeah,
No, that's it's definitely a tough question to ask because to answer because you've got to I think also really evaluate yourself, but also like you have to kind of especially in a position like this when you've started a company and you've gone about this I think in a really good way, but you have to really look at yourself and say, did I make those right decisions? And if like you said, you do have some of those minor regrets of maybe not getting out of the truck sooner, but also like it taught like those staying in the truck as long as you did probably taught you a lot of things that maybe you didn't know or you were able to learn even more about the trucking side and kind of being an owner op and scaling your business and that's a risk you decided to take anyway. So I think that yeah, I mean you have a lot of things to be really excited about and um, you know
yeah.
what you guys have done over the last 12 years.
Yeah.
Andre, I want to ask one last quick question. When people hear the name Hawk Logistics, what do you hope comes to mind? What do you want people to associate with your brand that you and Dennis have built?
Yeah, the first thing I want people to think about is the people right here. I don't want, people noticing, oh, all these trucks. The first question that you get asked, oh, you're a trucking company. Okay, cool. How many trucks do you run? That's the first thing. I understand that. That's all. That is all, normal, and that's a good question to ask. But I want people forward, right? I want great people. I want I want the world to be impacted by the people that work for us and with us. That's what I want. I want us to have trust with our customers. I want reliability. I want our customers to say that, hey, if Hawk says that they're going to do something, they're going to come through, and
Yeah.
we trust that they're going to get it done. And if something goes sideways, they're going to figure out a way on how to fix that and figure it out. And those are the things. I want to be reliable as much as I can because I'm
Yeah.
I'm here to help you in whatever need you need, and I'm not here to make your life difficult. I don't. How can I make your life as easy as possible? And
Yeah.
that's the same approach I have towards the drivers as well, because they're out on the road. How can I make your life a lot easier so that way
Yeah.
you're happy working here and you're so that there's probably more to say, but that's what comes to mind at the moment.
No, I love it, man. That's a great reason and what what you want your brand to be. And when you like you said, you want your drivers to be as comfortable as possible and you kind of have that that understanding of what it is to be a driver and what it is to be very uncomfortable probably in a truck for long periods of time and not have that home time and not have those things that maybe you wanted for so long and now you're able to give them to your drivers. And I think that's a really good, reason, or what you want people to associate Hawk Logistics with is being people first and not 75 trucks right now or 70 trucks. They're a people forward company, they're a driver forward company, and yes, they
Yeah,
have 75 trucks, and yes, they move a lot of freight, and yes, they are amazing, and yes, they are on time, and yes, they do everything they say, but they're also a very people forward company. So yeah, that's fantastic, man. Andre, thank you so much for coming on the show, for
thank you.
telling people for your story. I think it's an awesome one. Where can listeners connect with you or learn more if they're interested or have some freight for you to move?
Go on our website, hawklogisticsllc.com. You can do that. We do have a Instagram page, Hawk Logistics. You can find us there. You can I don't know, call the company. No
That's
worries.
perfect.
That's on the website. You can find us on. Oh, you know where is a great one to find us on Carrier Source, where we have
Perfect.
more reviews now. Top rated carrier on there. I'm excited. I love the third party recognition that is unsolicited and it just comes from. So there's multiple places where you can find it. WTIA, I'll be there. You can connect with me there. Corporate Carrier Summit, I'll be there as well. In Indianapolis, come say hi. I was born in Detroit, Virginia, so I do have that space a little bit, and that looks mean, but I'm really not.
Andrey's he's a big teddy bear. I'll say he definitely gave me kind of a look when we first connected, and I was like, I don't know if he really likes me, but then he opened right up, and he's like he's smiling right now. He's one of the nice people you guys can meet. See Andrey at TIA Carrier